All right, everybody. Hey, I got Matt Caldwell with me, the Lee County Property Appraiser. Matt, how you doing, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Tim.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, we got November coming up, all right? And tax bills are going to be going out.
Yep.
And I know we get a lot of questions from buyers, realtors, et cetera. And so I wanted to bring you on to kind of just do a little brief overview of Lee County Property Appraiser, the taxes, how these go out. But before we get started, sir, congratulations on your election again.
Oh, well, thank you. We had a good clean race. Came out on top last week and looking forward to serve for another 4 years.
Yeah, man. Oh, so 4 years. I was going to ask you how long you got. 4 years.
Yep. 4-year term.
Cool. Well, and also I always gotta give love, man, to my man Ken Wilkinson back in the day.
Yep.
You've carried on pretty well with him, so we appreciate everything because we deal with Lee County or property appraiser sites all over the state and country, really. And man, Lee County, LIPA.org is one of the main ones, always one of the best. So good job to you and your team.
Oh yeah, we were blessed to inherit a really great operation from Ken. He was there for 40 years and brought really all of the innovations at the very forefront. Back in the early 90s when the internet was coming of age and you had GIS like you've got behind me in the background. He was on the cutting edge of every single one of those things, and we continue to try to build on that and push to the future with a lot of pretty fascinating 3D and modeling efforts and some machine learning. Just a lot of really cool things we're building on.
Nice, nice. Well, let's get into some things. I asked a few people some questions, and so I got some stuff from borrowers and realtors and such. So we're going to get started on this. I know one of the main ones I'm getting last few months, and that is when you go to, or I should how to phrase this. We have right sales price. So we do mortgages, right? So you have a sales price. You paid 300,000 for this house. I'll always get people that will say, "Well, hey, if I buy it for, can they put 290 down so my taxes are lower?" Or, "Man, I'm gonna get hit with a high tax bill because I'm paying 400 for it or whatever." And so, would you mind going into the differences between a sales price, what someone pays for a house, compared to what Lee County assesses the house at?
Sure. So our process for determining the just value, and that's the top line value where everything starts. Below that, what you actually get taxed on depends on your exemptions, most commonly the homestead exemption. So first of all, what you pay tax on is if you've got a homestead, going to be much lower than whatever the actual market value or what we call just value. And the difference between market value is, as everybody commonly understands, the appraisals you see and deal with every day, and just value is we have to deduct all of the non-real estate parts of a sale. So right away, when you're talking about, let's say that house sold for 300,000, well, you've got in there probably two brokers' commissions. Most transactions these days have some non-real estate part of the financing or closing cost or something is going to get captured in there, and so we have to adjust the entire data set of all of the sales. So we'll take all the house sales, for example, from 2023, and we will take off 7, 8, 10%. It depends on the property type. What our research shows is the average, but we'll take that off right away. So when we go to do our sales comparison approach, your typical approach for appraising a residential property, we've already taken all the non-real estate parts out. Those prices are already lower
Mhm.
to begin with. Then we go through the process, and we're not doing an individual appraisal. We're doing a mass appraisal. So we're taking all those sales and trying to distill them down to their components. So how much is a pool worth? How much is a bathroom worth? How much is a quarter-acre lot worth? And then taking those pieces and applying them based on the situation on your property in particular. Ultimately, that process is going to give you a really good answer where the properties are really similar. So our single family home model in Cape Coral is pretty solid. But if you've got a unique property, if you've got a different circumstance, if you've got issues in terms of the habitability of the structure, like after Hurricane Ian, there's all kind of other adjustments we may need to make. And that's where this time of year becomes important when you get your trim notice to come talk to us. But from the top line, your individual sale is not what determines your assessed value. Your sale is going to go into that bucket of all that data, but it's not going to be the only data point.
Okay, perfect. So when people get these trim notices and they see an assessed value on there, just we're using 300,000 for an example, and they're like, dude, this is a tear down, or whatever. I got to completely rehab the whole thing, or there's no way this thing's worth 300, even though it's livable. What is their step to dispute that assessed value?
So there's really two pathways to answer that question. We are required to reflect the physical characteristics accurately, no matter what. So 365 days a year, you call our office, you come in to talk to us and let us know that there's something wrong with the physical characteristics we have online. We think that you got 3 bathrooms, but you only really have 2 bathrooms. We're going to have to fix that. You don't have to file an appeal. You don't have to go through any long drawn out process. And the same thing's true about the condition, particularly after Hurricane Ian. All of those properties that were affected by the storm, we really tried to encourage folks to communicate with us. We had about, I think it was about 32,000 properties that were storm damaged in 2023's tax roll. A lot of folks have gotten repaired. So by comparison, in 2024, that number is down to about 11,000 properties now that are still storm damaged for this year's tax roll.
Yeah.
So those physical characteristics, talk to us as soon as you think about it, as soon as you want to. There's no timelines you have to worry about. That's a part of our fundamental obligation. On the opinion side, right? What do we think it's worth? What do you think it's worth? That's where the appeal process and that timeline becomes important. So you can still talk to us at any point in the year. We try to help people. We try to come to a reasonable, good conclusion that looks at both sides of the issue. We're not interested in having some long, drawn out argument about it. Make a good faith case to us about why you think the value should be X or Y, and if we can get there or somewhere close to there and see your point, we're going to do that. But there's times you're not going to. We're going to have a disagreement about what we think it's worth, and that's where you have the option under the law to file an appeal. That process was triggered this weekend. Everybody got their trim notices, the truth and millage notice. And it shows you two things. One thing it shows you is all of the proposed tax rates that your local
Right.
jurisdictions want to adopt, your county commission, your school board, your city, et cetera, and the time and location of their budget hearings. So that's not our office. That we send that out. That's our obligation to provide you as a constituent. But if you don't like those tax rates, that's your trigger. Go to those budget hearings, testify what you want to see different about those decisions being made. The other half of that is the value, what we've come up for the year as your taxable value. And there's two things in there. One is what we've concluded as the just value, what we think it's worth just as a matter of what it's worth, regardless of any exemptions, any caps, any of the benefits that you can apply for. And then you also want to make sure that we've got all those shown, right? If you think you filed your homestead, but for some reason, that paperwork didn't make it to us in the mail, review the trim notice, make sure the homestead's on there. You don't see it, come get us, make sure we get that resolved. All of those things from now until September 17th, we can resolve informally. You don't need to file an appeal even. So you've got about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks that you can come in and see us and visit us, and we will be able to resolve most of those questions. Again, make sure the homestead got filed and all the other exemptions possible.
Mhm.
And even those value questions, maybe we can work it out. If we can't, then you've got to go file an appeal if you want to at the clerk's office. So we don't run the appeal process. We are a party to it, but the clerk actually organizes and administers that appeal process. They're a disinterested party. They're a third party that runs that, and it runs through the calendar up through next year, sometimes as late as next May, depending on how many appeals we have. But those are your pathways as a taxpayer that you have available to you once you see that trim notice.
Cool. All right. So you mentioned exemptions. Homestead is the banger, right? That's the main one. So if you don't mind just touching on, new homeowners, homestead exemption, but also, if you don't mind, just spending a minute or two on the unknown exemptions, maybe the ones that people are missing. So you mind, talking about that for a
Yeah.
minute?
Yeah, we'll go through all that. So the big one, like you said, is homestead, and depending on the value of your property, you either get 25 or 50,000 taken right off the top from your value that you pay taxes on. And then in addition to that, you have the Save Our Homes benefit. Ken Wilkinson, again, great advocate for the taxpayer. He was the one that actually created Save Our Homes, went around the state and got the petitions to amend the state constitution. And essentially it's a formula, but the shorthand is it caps your taxable value at 3%, no more than the 3% increase each year. And so when you see like the market's done in the last 5 years, a couple of years with 15, 20, 30% increases in the value at the top line, as a taxpayer, you had a huge benefit that your actual taxable was capped at 3%. So you've got an enormous gap that's opened up there as a tax benefit as a homestead property owner. But you do have a number of other ones. Widowers, for example, receive a tax benefit under Florida law. Now, we just got that amended, we being the property appraisers collectively. It had been passed in the 60s and was a $500 deduction on your value, which really only resulted in about an average of $11 in savings on a tax bill because of inflation over the last 50 years, 60 years, really. We got the legislature to move that up to 5,000. So it's now a $5,000 deduction for widowers. You also have deductions for the blind, for permanently disabled, for veterans, particularly disabled veterans. There's ones for low-income seniors. So those seniors who are on a fixed income, basically living on Social Security, there's benefits for them. Long-term homeowners. So if you've lived in the same home for 30 years, there's a special one that caps your tax liability. We don't want people to lose their homes that they've lived in their
Right.
whole life because of rapid development. You think of the homeowner in downtown Miami that they're going to end up selling that house once the homeowner passes away, but gives them the ability to stay there while they're still living. So a lot of different possibilities. What people are going to want to do is visit the exemptions tab at LEPA.org, at LEPA.org. Look through that list. And then if you're not sure, use the phone, use the chat, come in and see us. Our public service staff would be glad to walk you through whatever you got going on in your life and what possibly will get you a tax benefit because of that.
Cool. Yeah, so I think this last question, I wanted to ask you, so this year, whenever you're watching this, we're coming up on, November 2024. Will values in Lee County be up or down from 23?
So the overall countywide just value went up 8% year over year, but that's a little misleading because two big parts of that. One was true new construction. So a lot of homes still were built over 2023. So those are brand new on the tax roll. That doesn't necessarily then equate to what happened in your personal circumstance. And those 20,000 properties I talked about before that came back on the roll, we had taken off the improvements from
Right.
Hurricane Ian. So that's value that came back on this year. So if you take those two types of property out of the equation, it was pretty much an even year, 23, 22, or 23 to 24. Now, those personal circumstances, when you really zoom down to your own individual property, it might have gone up because of whatever's happening in your neighborhood, in your part of the county. Some are growing faster than others. It's really a case-by-case basis. We're looking at about 550,000 real estate parcels in Lee County. So you're going to have a lot of unique circumstances to review. The other thing to keep in mind is back to that big homestead benefit. For most people, they'll see maybe their just value went up maybe a little bit or stayed even or maybe even went down, but then they see that their taxable value still went up. Well, part of that 3% cap is that it will continue to go up by that 3%. It basically slows it down, but as long as there's a gap between the market value and your taxable value, it will still go up the 3%. So you will see some people they kind of confuses them in a year where the market value stayed level or went down, but their taxable still goes up. But as long as there's that gap between those two numbers, the way it works is the taxable continues its 3% roll.
Okay. Well, cool. So it sounds like that's a lot of great information for you guys out there. And I think if what Matt's saying is if you got questions, concerns, call, email, right? Chat your office. Matt, would you say that?
Absolutely. We've got a full suite of folks ready to serve and help. They're all geared up, particularly this time of year. These next 3 weeks are our busiest time of year in the office after the trim notices go out. And they're ready to answer your questions. They've seen just about every scenario you can think of. It's pretty rare for us to get one out of left field, but if they do, then we'll get to work on figuring out the right solution.
Cool, man. Hey, we're in Lee County. We got any counties in Florida we can make fun of right now? Who you hate out there, man?
All the rest of them, Tim. This is we're doing it right. No, I've got a lot of good peers around the state that are interested in being pro taxpayer, just like we are.
Oh, good.
We really focus as I work with my colleagues to try to advocate for additional tax savings and benefits for the taxpayers. We've got a good group of folks around the state that are interested in the same thing.
Cool, man. Well, Matt, appreciate you, man. Do you post any kind of social medias out there for the property appraiser? What side do you guys post at?
We do. We're on Facebook and Twitter as well. And then you'll see if you go to our website, actually, we've got some informational videos that we developed. One on the trim notice, one on portability, which is another benefit for homestead folks. Getting ready to actually cut my third video probably this afternoon. But great resources for those that want to kind of work through those. They're a little more complicated issues, but they can also share those on our website. The links to share are right there on the homepage.
Good deal. All right. Dude, Matt, I appreciate you, man. Hey, if you're watching this, hope this helps you out some. If you got any questions regarding mortgages, give me a call anytime. I'm always here to help. We're putting content out like this a lot. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, don't forget you got to like, share, and subscribe. That's the move, Matt. So, dude, appreciate you being with us, man. And come back anytime if you got like a hot topic or something you want to cover, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks, Tim.
All right, brother. Thanks, man.